Hi, this is Melissa, Implementation Specialist. This is the first of 3 videos of the Encounter walkthrough. In this video, we're going to look at the check-in and the history workflow steps. Under the check-in, the first screen that you see is demographics. On the demographics page, you'll review your information, make any changes as needed. Also note there are additional tabs at the top that you can use for documentation. Once you have any information entered that you wish to save, you want to go forward by either clicking into the next screen on the left. At the upper right, you have the Next button, or at the lower right, you can click Next. It's important that whoever is logged in and looking at this page, if this is all you do, be sure to click Next before you log out for someone else to at that point take over. That will save your information. On the insurance screen, you want to add insurance information for the patient. To do so, go to the upper right to the plus button. You're going to click Add, and then use the drop-down menu to select your insurance payer. You'll enter any information that's required, and you can also put in any additional information that you feel is necessary. Once you have your information entered, go to the lower left and click your blue Save button. If you go back to the top, to the left-hand side, you can click on the All Patient Insurances to go back, and you'll see the information that you have entered. If you need to deactivate an insurance, to the right-hand side there is a red box with an X. You simply click it to deactivate that particular insurance. You can add as many as you would like to this area. Your consents page, this is a quick view of any consents that you may need to have your patient sign or any consents that they may have already signed. To add a consent, you simply select it from the right. Your date will populate, and you can put comments into the comments section. Again, you want to save your information by clicking the Save button. You'll go back to All Consents, and you'll see that we now have our HIPAA form signed and the Advanced Beneficiary Notice. The next workflow step is the history, and the first screen under this step is the reason for visit. On the left-hand side, you want to enter whatever the patient has told you in their own words why they are there today for their visit. The patient may have said they need new eyeglasses. You'll just type that into this area. On the right, the provider will enter a reason for visit. For existing patients, you also have the lower part of the screen, which is your diagnosis, care plan item, reason for visit. This area can be used in addition to typing something on the right-hand side or in place of it. If you click your green Add button, you'll see previous diagnosis. You can make a selection here and then select from the care plan item on the right. You'll click Save at the lower right, and that will populate on the lower part of the screen. You also have your medical reason that you can check. You have your transition of care, referring provider, document, and additional reasons. Your history of present illness. You have different options on this screen. At the upper right, you can click the plus button to add a condition. You can simply type in blurred vision. Use the drop-down to make additional selections, and continue to document as much as you would like. You also have a text box to the right where you can type what you would like. Save your information. You can also use your diagnosis history for established patients. We'll make a selection here, and that will populate. Or you have the option to use the HPI wizard. Make a selection, and again use the drop-downs for any documentation. Use as many as you feel is necessary. Once you've completed as many of the drop-downs that you would like, you'll click your Generate HPI and then close this window, either at the bottom or at the top. The review of systems for a new patient, if you click Normal at the lower right, it will populate negatives into all of the fields. To make a selection, go into the drop-down and select from your value options. If you don't see what you're looking for in the drop-down menu, you can always select Other and then type into the comments box. For previous patients, you can also select No Changes, or if you need to clear the fields, you can click your Clear button. The medications page is the area where you're going to add all medications, whether it's a medicine that the patient comes in and they tell you that they're taking, or if you're prescribing a medication for your patient. To add to this area, you're going to use the plus button at the upper right. When you click, you have the option to either add a specific prescription or you can add general. If we click Add General, you can use the drop-down to indicate what the patient is taking medication for. You can also enter a comment and save. To add a specific medication, you'll again go to the plus button and add the prescription. You can go into the search field or you can click on the common drugs and do a search. You can make a selection here and fill out any information as needed. The default is set to external provider to make it quicker to enter medications that the patient may be taking. If you're writing the prescription for the patient, you want to select provider and then fill out any required fields that have the red asterisks. Once you've entered your information, you can click Save and Authorize. When you save and authorize the prescription, you then have the ability to print that out for your patient. Again, that is for internal providers to prescribe to their patients. At the top left, you can also indicate if there are no known active medications and that a medication reconciliation was performed. On this particular page, the provider does have a review button at the lower right that you will want to click. For your allergies, again, click your plus button at the upper right. You have two options, medication allergies or other. If you add a medication allergy, you have two options. You have a medication or a group. If we select the group and go into the search field, you'll see that we've brought up penicillins. You can make a selection. You can indicate the start date if you would like, the severity, and any reactions from the drop-down. Once you've entered your information, click Save. If you need to add another allergy, again, come up to the top and click your plus button. You also have additional areas to the left that you can indicate that there are no known drug allergies, no known other allergies, or no latex sensitivity. If you need to remove anything that has been added here, you do have the red box with the X to deactivate. Patient's ocular and social history. You can select no problems. You can use the drop-down to make a selection. You can also indicate no changes for an existing patient. Social history, you can indicate as much as you would like here and use the drop-down menus, or use no problems or no changes. The family medical history and the family ocular history, the screens work in the same way. If the patient has a family history of a particular condition, you'll select that here. Let's go ahead and select diabetes. You can see that we have indicated that the patient's father, mother, and brother have diabetes. Well, we're going to change that to no for the brother, yes for the sister. Come down to the lower left and save. You'll do that for each of the situations as needed. The ocular history, you'll do the same thing. If the patient has a family history of cataracts, you can select cataract. Indicate who in the family. We'll say yes for the father, yes for the mother. Scroll down and again click Save. The orientation and mood, this is used for you to document the patient's mental status as you perceive it today for their visit. Just make your selections here. You can free text into these fields and then go forward. The contact lens history, you have a lookup button. You want to use the lookup for the OD first. So we're going to click here. This is going to put us into our contact lens catalog where you can make selections. If you need to find a particular lens, go into the model field and start to type the name, which will then filter. You can make a selection here. This will populate data into the right eye field. Use your OS equals OD button to populate the same data into the left. You can also click on the History tab where you can put additional information about the contact lens that the patient is wearing. If the patient is established and coming back in, you have the View History button that you can click. Make a selection here if this is still the lens that they're wearing, and the data will populate for you. Related conditions, if the patient is seeing you today due to an automobile accident or a work-related injury, you can document that on this page. This concludes the review of the check-in and the history workflow. Thank you for joining me.